I have closed over 50 high-ticket clients for my eCom paid ads agency and scaled to over 100K a month using the exact sales process that I'm going to tell you about in this video. It is a 3-step, 2-call close process. So the 3 steps are the discovery, the audit, and the sales call. So I'm jumping straight into it. Let's start with the discovery call, the first call where you get to actually meet the client and talk to them after you have booked them in through cold emails or through your personal brand, whatever it is. I have a ton of videos on how to actually book calls. This is for how you actually close them. And the first call is called a discovery call because the goal is to basically discover the client and make sure that they are actually a good fit for your agency. This should be a 30-minute call. This is the first and highest leverage step in the sales process. The goal with the discovery call is to qualify the prospect and build rapport and then sell them on an audit if everything looks good. Something you have to understand in this whole sales system is that the goal is always to just sell them on the next step. When you are sending cold emails, you're not trying to sell people on your service, you're trying to sell people on your discovery call. On the discovery call, you sell them on an audit. In the audit, you sell them on the service. So always take it one step at a time. This conversation should be free-flowing with no set script that you follow word for word. I really hate set scripts because they make you sound like a robot. You don't actually get to build a connection with the person. So I'm going to give you guidelines in this document, but I'm not going to tell you exactly what to say word for word, and that is by design. So the framework for the discovery call is as follows. First of all, create a new Notion page to take notes in the call notes database above. So I have created a template for you to take notes during the discovery call. You just copy this document, you click on new discovery call, you get a whole layout for actually how to take notes during the sales call. If you want access to all of the documents I'm going to be showing you in this video, I have linked the care package down in the description. The point is, you create the doc, you have it ready to actually take notes during the call. You always start the call with 30 to 60 seconds of just small talk, like, hey, I just noticed you're from Florida, we're in Florida. Always try to find some common interests and try to, get to know the person. Don't go straight to the selling, especially important in the US where people really like to build this kind of personal connection before they start any kind of partnership with other people. Then you set the agenda for the entire sales process. This is really important because they have to understand what the next steps are so that when you actually go to pitch them the audit, they know it's coming and they're much more likely to actually accept it. I have a framework here. You just explain what you're doing today, what is going to happen in 2 days, in 7 days, set the agenda for the entire sales process, super easy, and then give them a quick, short elevator pitch of who you are and what your agency does exactly. Just in case they haven't really done any research on your agency, that sometimes happens. You just want to spend 30 seconds introducing yourself and making sure that everyone is on the same page. Then we go over to the actual qualification part, which is interesting. I recommend that you qualify prospects based on the BANT framework. So BANT. B stands for budget, A stands for authority, N stands for need, and T stands for timing. So you want all 4 of these before you ever move a potential client to the next step in the sales process. Budget is basically, are they able to afford working with your agency? These are some of the questions you could be asking, but again, make it a free-flowing conversations and ask questions that are actually relevant to what you are talking about with the prospect. The point is, you want to understand if they're even able to afford your service. Then the authority part is, are you talking to the actual decision maker in the company? Because this can be a giant call it cock block if you're talking to a person who doesn't actually have the authority to make the decision. So make sure you are talking with the person in charge. N is for need. Do they actually need your service? Figure out if their life would be any different without having your paid ads service in place. If they already have amazing paid ads, then they probably don't really have much need for your service. You want to gauge how willing they are to actually go into a partnership with you. And lastly, the timing. The last thing that can stop this whole thing is that the timing something is just not right. Sometimes a company is looking for funding, or they are doing some changes to the management, or people are on vacation. Different things can cause them to not be able to make the decision fairly quickly, and you want to discover that in the call. So these are, as you can see, check boxes. So when you are going through this document, just check off these boxes. If they do qualify on the budget part, you just check that off. If they do qualify on the need part, you check that off, and make sure that they are qualified on all 4 points before you actually pitch them on the free audit, which is the next part of this process. This offer should be related to your actual main service. So if you are selling paid ads, give them a paid ads audit. If you are offering, let's say, copywriting, sell them on a copywriting audit. Again, you're not actually selling them on anything because it's free, but there is this kind of sale still involved because they have to spend their time and energy actually doing this with you. Explain that this is a preliminary step that you always do to provide some free value and ensure that you can actually truly help them with your offer. And it is true, you want to do the audit to actually understand if you want to work with this client and to just give them some free value, and then get access to all the relevant platforms on the call. So if you are running a paid ads agency that focuses on, let's say, meta ads, make sure that you get access to their meta ads account on this call. If for some reason they're not able to actually give you access on the call, they don't have the right access or some technical issues, stuff like that, send them a Loom right after this call, asking them to share access, and keep following up until they do. But point is, you want to have access to the ad accounts to be able to complete the audit in the next step, which I'm jumping to right now. So you've completed the discovery call, you have qualified them, you've made sure that they are actually a good fit for your agency, at least on the surface. You offer them a free audit of their ads. I have another document walking through exactly how to do this. And again, I have an entire database for actually how to make these audits. So you click the new audit button and you will get a template that you just fill out that will be the audit that you actually present to this potential client. Before I get into the actual template, which I will do in a second, I just want to explain how this process works. You should, as I said, at this point already have access to the relevant platforms necessary to actually perform the audit. What you do is that you customize the audit template in this audit database page above. You complete the audit based on the previously created template. This shouldn't really take you more than 30 to 45 minutes. Once you get used to it, it's a pretty simple process. You record a Loom video of you walking through the audit, and you send the Loom to this prospect before you jump on the next sales call. A minimum of 24 hours before the sales call so that they actually have time to watch it, but ideally 48 hours and above. And the template looks like this. It's divided into the different paid ads platforms. You have Facebook, you have Google, you have Snapchat. You just copy the Facebook part if you want to have more of the platforms, and you analyze based on 4 different aspects: their budgets and their numbers. So you analyze how much are they spending, what kind of CPA do they have, what kind of ROAS do they have, where is this ROAS coming from, do they have underperforming campaigns, do they have overperforming campaigns. Just give them complete insights on what's working and what's not working in the account. Then you talk about the technical aspect. So how is the account actually configured? Are they using the right testing structures? Do they have the right amount of campaigns? Are they using some kind of settings for the campaigns that are suboptimal and expanding to audience when they don't really want to be expanding, stuff like that? Then you talk about the creative and the copy, what kind of images they're using, what kind of copy they are using. Is it too bland? Are they not testing enough? Do they have too many different angles? Are the angles too unclear? So much you can dive into on the creative aspect. And lastly is just the testing and the scaling. Are they testing enough creatives per week? How are they scaling those creatives? Do they put them in a separate campaign? Do they just scale them in the existing campaign? Explain what they are doing wrong, and on each of these steps explain what you would do differently. So you can say, right now you are testing in 3 different campaigns. I would consolidate that to 1 campaign because of reasons X, Y, and Z, and do it in this other way instead. So present their current situation and then explain how you would do it differently. And that goes for all of the different platforms. That is what an audit is. You show that you understand how they're currently doing it, and you explain how you would do it if you were the one actually managing the account. Then, as I said, you just record this Notion document. You just start a Loom recording, go through it, explain all of the different points, expand on what's important, and as I said, you send it to them at least 24 hours before the next sales call, which is coincidentally the next step in this video, the sales call. They have seen the audit, they have already had the discovery call, they are pre-sold on working on your service. Now we just have to hammer it home, get the contract signed, get the invoice paid, all of that good stuff. One thing I want to note here before I get into the actual sales call process is that it is important that you don't skip steps in this entire sales process, even if the prospect seems to be extremely warm and ready to swipe their card. So if they jump on the initial discovery call already seeming like they're ready to close, they're like, okay, give me the payment link, still go through this entire sales process, because sometimes people get cold feet, sometimes they need to talk with their business partners. So just by going through this process, you ensure that every single person gets the maximum level of treatment, that you don't miss out on any potential closes by just your lack of effort. Again, I have a call notes database here. You go in here, you click this button, you get a template to actually take notes on the sales call, and the process should look like this. So this should be a 45-minute call, and arguably this is the most important and most nerve-wracking part of the sales process. This is the final sales call where you get either a yes or a no to working with you. So it can be pretty, as I said, nerve-wracking, and you will feel more emotion in this call than in the other ones. And the goal with this call is to sell the prospect in on the fact that you are the absolute best agency in the world to solve their specific problem. This will be done through answering any questions that the client might have for the free audit. Usually when they jump on the call, they will have some technical questions to the audit. What do you mean by this? Or and what about doing this instead? So always start by answering that, and then you present a personalized slide deck. So every single part of the sales process, as you've probably understood, is completely personalized to this prospect. They should feel like everything is perfectly made for them. This is exactly what they are looking for because you made it perfect for them. So on the sales call, you present the slide deck which you prepare beforehand that tackles their specific pain points. So the first slide you see on your screen right now, you just change this to be their main pain point. So if they are struggling in, let's say, the West Coast market in the US, for whatever reason, you say that this is a partnership to scale X brand in the West Coast market. You put your logo, you put their logo, then you explain their current situation, you explain what they are experiencing, you have to describe their pain as deeply as possible. So let's say they have a CMO that is kind of shitty, let's say they don't have enough creative, let's say they're not able to scale because they don't understand the meta algorithm deeply enough. You describe all of their pain points in the slide. You really make them understand that you understand their situation, and then the selling begins. So we have 3 slides here with different unique selling points for your agency. And again, all of these are completely personalized to the prospect. So the first slide here should be a unique selling point that aligns with their biggest pain point. So if they say that they want to scale in the West Coast, that's like their biggest pain point. Your first USP is the fact that we are experts at scaling in the West Coast. I hope you're now seeing how this is all tying together, and you just position your agency as the best agency in the world at solving their specific issue. So as I said, you write, we are experts at scaling in the West Coast. Then you just elaborate a little bit, like we've worked with 10 brands on the West Coast. We've spent this many millions of dollars on spend in the West Coast. Just explain why this aligns and attach a relevant picture. Then you do it with their second biggest pain point. So let's say their second biggest pain point is the fact that they're not able to produce enough creative. So you say, we are experts at high creative volume production. And again, explain why that is the case. And lastly, we do it again with their third biggest pain point. Then we present 2 case studies in total. And again, these case studies are aligned with exactly what they are looking for. So, and again, these case studies are aligned with this person's knowledge of the market and their specific pain points. So first of all, you explain the name of the brand you've worked with previously. Ideally, if this person knows the name of that brand, they've heard about it previously, then what they struggled with. Again, ideally, if it's the same problem the prospect is struggling with right now, how we solved it. Again, ideally, if it's the steps you have presented to them in the audit, and then what the results were. And again, ideally, if it's the same results the prospect is looking for and how long it took. And again, ideally, the length of the contract that you will be presenting to this client. So every single step of the slideshow is perfectly personalized to the prospect, their biggest pain points, what they know about the market, so that they, and I can't stress this enough, feel like this is the perfect solution for them because you've made it the perfect solution for them. Then we just double it. We do it again with a second case study. Then we present a quick little timeline, how the partnership will actually progress so that they have some insights into how you work, how long stuff usually takes. Then you give them a revenue forecast and opportunity cost. So you forecast what they will earn in the next 90 days without your help. You forecast how much you believe that you will earn them extra in addition to what they already will earn. Then how much you forecast that they will earn extra in the next 90 days, excluding your costs, so your agency cost, because they will do this math, so just do it for them. And then include a graph showing the three forecasts. So you should have one forecast that goes fairly low, that's their current projected revenue. Then you have one that is much higher, which is your projected revenue, and then one that is slightly lower than this highest one, that is the projected revenue minus the cost that they will actually pay you. Lastly, we present the price. So we present two different options, always at least two different options. And the reason is because we want to trigger a which to choose and not an if to choose mindset. So let me explain. When people are presented with several price options, they begin intuitively picking between those options instead of even considering if they should be picking any at all. So if you only present one price option, they will begin thinking, okay, do I need this? Do I not need this? But if you have several price options, they will begin picking which one they should go for and not if they should go for any of those at all. So it's a quick, little, easy sales psychological trick that you should be using. Present two different options. In the end, they should end up at the exact same revenue for your agency. One should just, for example, have a lower retainer and higher performance, while the other one has a higher retainer and lower performance. So mix it around, but just make it really be the same thing for your agency in terms of revenue. So that is it for the sales call. You create a new Notion page to take notes. You again do a little bit of small talk. You go over the questions for the audit, you present the slide deck, then you ask for a yes or a no, and you shut up. You've probably seen The Wolf of Wall Street. He has the scene where he says that once the price is presented, the first person to talk is the person that loses. And that's kind of the concept here as well. You present the price, you ask, what are you thinking? Like, do you want to go ahead with this? And then you just shut up. They will probably be thinking for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Never interrupt the silence. Let them speak first. And if you did the sales process right, there should be few or absolutely no objections because you've handled all of the objections previously. You've presented the audit. They understand what you will do for them. It's going to be very, very difficult to come up with any fundamental objections. And just as a note, if you do encounter a lot of objections, dive deeper into why they are appearing. So maybe your audit is not deep enough, or maybe you're not covering some specific topics in the slide deck. Do those changes and make sure that those objections don't pop up again in the future. So for every single time you run someone through the sales process, your sales process should become better and better. Lastly, in terms of follow-ups, if they are unable to make a decision on the call for whatever reason, there are sometimes reasons why they're not able to say yes or no on the call, book in a follow-up call later that same day or early the next day to actually finalize the process. So don't stretch this out. Make sure that you are super on point with your follow-ups. Book in follow-ups the same day. And if they are still unable to make a decision, keep booking in follow-up calls until you either get a yes or a no. Never leave a meeting without having a next meeting booked in. That's like the holy grail, the main rule for sales. Never jump off a sales call without having the next call booked in. So I hope this was valuable, and I hope this explains how I do the sales process at my own agency. That's still the process I use at over 100K a month. As I said, if you want access to these 3 documents and all of the templates that I presented in them, you will find a link to the care package down below. On another note, I have recently opened up a private mentorship where I work with paid ads agency owners like yourself to scale you from stuck below 15K a month to 50K a month in 6 months. That's my promise. So if that sounds interesting, click the VSL link below. It is a little video designed to sell you on working with me. And if you are still intrigued after watching that video, I'll see you on a call. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you at the top.